How do you guys maintain your friendship? Like through that 10, 15 years, however long it's been, have you ever gotten in a fight that's like maybe threatened to tear you guys apart?
Think so.
Not to the point that we actually were going to. There was definitely rocky points, especially at the beginning. So we were obviously like friends, and then we became business partners. And then especially when we moved out, we were roommates, friends, and business partners.
At 18.
At 18. And my livelihood depended on him and vice versa. That's very difficult on a friendship for sure.
And we also were just like struggling on YouTube and what we wanted to do. And so like each week we would have to come up with different ideas, and I'd pitch something that maybe he didn't like versus like vice versa. And so like we have never ever really like yelled at each other before, like have gotten like a screaming match. We've never ever like hit each other ever. Like usually we've always worked things out very maturely, and we'll just like be completely honest, being like, hey man, like I didn't like this, let's talk about it. And I didn't like this, let's talk about it. And then like we'll resolve it and figure it out very like civilly. But like
it's hard though.
It's
like just putting it out there, I probably would not suggest going into business with your best friend or your spouse. Like I just wouldn't suggest it.
It ruins 90% of friendships.
We are definitely an anomaly. But we started that at the very beginning of like, honestly, like the friendship should always come first over business, over anything that's happening. So let's communicate. We had a lot of talks about all this stuff, and over time we've gotten to a point where I just understand how he works and vice versa, and so we know when something's going wrong. We know when we're not at the same level, and we sit down and we really talk about it, because at the end of the day, if our friendship isn't there, our whole business isn't there.
And how do you handle a disagreement where neither one of you wants to budge on a topic? Do you just not do it, or is it about like a convincing thing, or does one of you have like a little more of a lead than the other?
I think what's interesting is like when it comes to business stuff that we disagree on, we're both very, very logical people. And so no matter who's right, me or Sam, in the past, we'll always just like put emotions away, put every fact on the table and be like, what is actually best step? It doesn't matter who came up with like the steps, but like what's like the best plan of action here? And like, again, it's just like a lot of like trust, and like there's so many times where like, for example, like random merch ideas, like designs where if I like really love a design, but then Sam like doesn't like it at all, I would just be like, okay, well then let's scrap it, because like we both don't like it, even if I really like it.
And it's helped too. When we first started, it was mostly just us. We sometimes had managers or whatever, but nowadays we have a little bit bigger of a team. And so if we do have a disagreement, we'll bring it out to everybody, and it's more so like a collective experience. So we're like, okay, let's all decide on it, get pros, cons, let's figure it all out.
It was just like he said, like very hard in the beginning when we like didn't know what we were doing. We didn't have a team. We like saw each other we still see each other every single day. But like back then, when under stressful scenarios, plus like not having a lot of money back then,
honestly, like,
it's hard.
I'll say this. I'm sure this is very, very true with a marriage as well, but I noticed a dramatic difference in our relationship after financial freedom. Like when we were not worried about that month's rent and the bills, and like let's say one thing went wrong and it wasn't going to ruin our chances of staying in Los Angeles or not, that huge stress reliever was a big part of our relationship change. And I think that's probably with like everybody's relationship, families and marriages and everything like that. Like money is such a big deal. And so like when things were starting to go right, it was like a lot less stress on us for sure.
And just maturing and stuff. Like as we've gotten older, again, we just like learned more about how each like we work or whatever. And so I think it's all communication, as cliche and corny as that sounds. It's like communication is key. If you're upset about something, say it, but also consider how you say it to somebody. Don't be like, you just fucked up everything, dude.
I love doing that. See, that's my fault.
That's the Graham approach.
Really?
Oh my god, I could go on
see
and
how
on.
that works out
I
for you in
shouldn't.
the long run.
That is,
No, we're very, very like considerate of each other's feelings.
Take notes.
I'm working. Listen, I'm working.
He's doing a good job. He's
I'm
doing a
working
good
on
job.
it.